Hey guys, so question 2 asks, which of the following incorrectly describes cis 1,2-dimethylcyclopentane? And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our compound. And then we're going to, at the 1,2 position, draw either 2 wedges or 2 dashes, as long as they're the same because this is cis. And then we're going to look at our answers. So it is a meso compound. So what is a meso compound? A meso compound has a internal plane of symmetry, check. It's got a minimum of 2 stereocenters, stereoisomers. And so we've got a methyl here, a hydrogen. It takes 1 carbon to get to this methyl, while it's going to take 4 carbons to get to the other. And so these are indeed stereocenters. And so we are check on that one. So this is a meso compound. But before we go on to the next few things, let's go ahead and take a little break to learn a little bit more about meso compounds. And it's going to help us out with this question too. So, meso compounds, they are achiral. What this means is that they're superimposable on one another. This doesn't mean that they don't have chiral centers. They do have stereocenters, they are not chiral, but they contain a minimum of 2 stereocenters. And then the fact that they're achiral means they're superimposable on one another. So meso compounds, so if we were to draw this one again, their mirror images are superimposable on one another. And so we can see that here, if we were to put a mirror image, that it would be the same thing essentially. And then if we were to superimpose them on one another, they are superimposable on one another. Okay. Whereas our hands, for example, our hands are enantiomers. They're chiral because when we put them on top of one another, they are not superimposable. Meso compounds are achiral. When we put them on top of one another, they are superimposable. Okay. Meso compounds are also optically inactive, and so that actually comes from the configurations of a meso compound. So I'll let you guys figure out whether this is R or S, but the main thing to know about the meso compounds is that one side is going to be R, that means the other side has to be S. Or one side is going to be S, that means the other side has to be R. That's a characteristic of meso compounds. And so that means that when light comes in through one side, it's going to reflect it, let's say, towards the A direction, or let's say positive direction. Whereas when it comes through the other side, it's going to reflect it towards the negative direction. And now it's going to cancel each other out. And so that's what makes meso compounds are optically inactive. Okay. Meso compounds also do not have enantiomers. Enantiomers, like I just said, are like, for example, our hands. Enantiomers are not superimposable on each other, whereas meso compounds are. And so meso compounds do not have enantiomers. So now going back to our question, is this meso compound achiral? It is achiral because meso compounds are all achiral. It contains 2 asymmetric carbons. We found 2 stereocenters, so we are good. Its diastereomer is trans 1,2-dimethylcyclopentane. Cis and trans are always diastereomers. That doesn't mean that diastereomers will always be cis and trans, but if you have a cis and a trans, those are diastereomers of one another. And then it does not have an enantiomer, so that would be the incorrect statement here.